I can't believe it's SummerWeen. Let's read spooky books. Hi, I'm Sarah and welcome to CoreMoodz. And today I will be attempting to finish all 5 prompts of the SummerWeen Readathon created by @Gabby Reads. I think this is the 7th year that Gabby Reads has been hosting this readathon. I'm gonna leave a link to her announcement in the description. I chose to do this readathon because 5 prompts and one of them is just reading a book in the dark. It just felt doable. I always read horror and thrillers in the summer. I just felt like it's gonna be easy to do. It's still hot here. I just had to turn off all the fans because otherwise the sound quality will be horrible. So I'm already starting to sweat. I just hope these high temperatures lower. We in West Europe are not used to these kind of temperatures. So the 5 prompts are: read a thriller or horror book, read a book by a new author to me, read a book shorter than 250 pages, read a book with a pink cover, read a book in the dark. I have a few books in mind and I feel like all of these prompts are easy to achieve. So for the read a thriller or horror book prompt, I'm gonna pick King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. S.A. Cosby is an author that has a couple of books that a lot of people really like. I remember the book with the title Razor Blade Tears. A lot of people reading it and loving it. And also All the Sinners Bleed. And I think All the Sinners Bleed, the rights have been bought and I think there's going to be an adaptation soon. Most of his synopsis seems interesting to me, but Razor Blade Tears, I think the topic was a little too heavy to what I was looking for at the time. All the Sinners Bleed, I think it's a detective narrative and I don't really like to follow detective narratives. So when King of Ashes came out, I just knew that this was going to be my first S.A. Cosby. And what is the book about? After a family crisis, a man returns home and is pulled back into his family's criminal past, forcing him to confront violent debts, loyalty, and the consequences of long-buried secrets. I always love the stories that start with someone comes back from a long absence and they have to adapt and remember how things were. The conflicts, the family relationships and dynamics. I think I'm really gonna love this book. And I heard that the writing is great. I'm really excited to pick this one up. And the second prompt is read a book by a new author to me. And I want to pick, I have like a list of books that I want to pick because there are a lot of new authors to me that have been publishing books that I'm really excited to pick up and I'm very curious about. But I think I'm going to go with Futility by Nuzo because I feel like that cover has been calling to me and I've never read anything by Nuzo, but I just feel like I think I'm really going to like this book. And the synopsis says, a dark horror novel set in Abuja, Nigeria that follows 2 women, Shia, a mysterious restaurant owner, and Claire, a bitter British expatriate whose lives are shaped by betrayal, anger, and a desire for revenge. When a supernatural trickster spirit offers them the chance to strike back at the ones who have wronged them, they become entangled in a terrifying series of events involving body swapping, murder, and African folklore. Blending horror, satire, and dark humor, the novel explores themes of vengeance, beauty, power, and the consequences of making dangerous bargains. That just reads like everything that I love in a book. I love deals. I love going to extremes. When it comes to humor, I'm very picky, so I don't know if the humor is going to work for me, but I'm really excited, so I'm just going to pick it up. And the third prompt is read the book with a pink cover. And I have 2 books that I'm going back and forth about. Best Offer Wins, I don't remember the author's name, and Sublimation by Isabel J. And those 2 books have been books that I heard a lot of good things about. Best Offer Wins, a lot of people enjoy, and people say it's fast-paced and it's very dramatic and it goes to extremes, and that's exactly the kind of thriller I love. And Sublimation there has been a little bit of buzz and people saying that it's a very interesting book. So I just feel like I'm probably gonna pick last minute. Best Offer Wins, I think, is about a woman, I think, in a couple, and she's trying to buy this house, and then she goes to extremes to be able to buy that house, and I think she crosses a few boundaries. And Sublimation, I think, is about a world where the moment you cross a country boundary or you travel somewhere else, then your body can split. One version of yourself stays behind and one version moves on. And I think, I'm not sure how that concept is going to work out or what the plot is, but we shall see. I'm intrigued by the idea. For the prompt, read the book under 250 pages. I'm going to read The Decagon House Murders by Yukito Ayatsuji. This kind of Japanese murder mystery book. I just love this kind of concept or subgenre. It's a specific kind of book. There's like this murder, and there's this question about how did this murder happen, and people investigate, and I just love this tight structure. I grew up with Conan, Detective Conan, so I think that's where my love for this kind of stories started. So I think I'm really gonna enjoy this book. I think it's about a university mystery society club or something, and they go to an island or on some kind of retreat, and then the island has a history with the crime, and I think people start dying. They are trying to figure out what's going on before all of them are dead. I think that seems like an interesting concept to me. And the last prompt is a prompt that I think Gabby used in every SummerWeen, which is reading a book in the dark. And for that one, I'm choosing the book Her Last Breath by Taylor Adams. I have read No Exit by Taylor Adams, and I also read The Last Word. No Exit is a fast-paced thriller about a girl going cross-country during some kind of a snowstorm because her mom is dying, and she had a really bad argument with her mom, and they have been estranged for a while. So she wants to get there to be able to say goodbye to her mom before her mom dies. But then there's this snowstorm, and while she's stuck somewhere at a rest area, she discovers something nefarious going on, and there's a race against the clock. The Last Word is a little bit of a different story, but also fast-paced, also happening in one night. It's a story about a woman. She's house-sitting. She reads a book. She leaves a bad review, and all of a sudden she feels like the author is closer than she thought he would be. That's also a really fun book with a lot of twists. The reason I picked Her Last Breath for the reading a book in the dark prompt is because this book is about two best friends going cave diving. I, for the life of me, can't think of a reason why people would do this, but apparently it's something people do for fun. So they go cave diving, and all of a sudden there's this stranger following them, and then it becomes a race against the clock to be able to get to safety. So I think it's going to be another fast ride. So this is my SummerWeen TBR. Let's see how my week went. So it's almost 10 o'clock. SummerWeen is going to start in a few hours. And I wanted to start a few hours earlier because I'm going to be really busy tomorrow, because I didn't realize that Friday is already day one of SummerWeen. I'm going to start with King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby. And I'm really excited because I've only heard good things. Everyone that I know that has read a book by this author has loved it. I'm excited. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to read until I go to bed, I think. So I don't know how far I'm going to get. The goal is going to be to at least read 100 pages before I go to bed.
6.5 hours later.
Lily's going to help us understand this book better. Anything to say? Any opinion? Thank you for joining. We start the story with the older brother of three having to go back to his hometown, having to visit his father in the hospital. His father is in very bad shape. Not only is he in a bad shape, but he has been in a car accident. Older brother does finance stuff. I think he's some kind of account or money manager for some kind of stock company, or I don't know if he specifically trades stock or does something else, but he is a finance person. He's very smart. He studied, he's educated, and he left his hometown, I think, to go to college and then work. And I think he hasn't been back for 5 years when we start the story. The middle sibling is a woman, and she has like the typical middle sibling struggles. No one thinks about her. She's taking care of everyone. She's managing everything. While the dad is in the hospital, she's the one taking care of that everything is arranged, because they own a crematorium, I think. So she's running a crematorium while taking care of her dad, while taking care of the administration. She's functioning from the mindset that the older brother is just coming back to visit his dad because he is in the hospital, and that as soon as he feels not guilty anymore, he's going to leave and she's going to be responsible for everything again. The younger brother, and also the catalyst of this story, is called Dante, and he is a little bit of a problematic person in the sense that he doesn't know what to do with his life. He's getting in trouble, he's making bad decisions, and he's dragging everyone into his bad choices. While Roman is visiting his dad, connecting with his family, getting around the city he grew up in. I'm not sure where they are, somewhere in the south, I think. Dante confesses after a lot of prodding to Roman that he made a mistake. What is that mistake, you would ask? It's on the synopsis, so I'm gonna say it. Dante borrowed money from the local criminal organization. He used the family name to get 300,000 worth of drugs from these criminals. And he lost the drugs and didn't get enough money. And some people didn't pay him back. Some people screwed him over and other people stole from him. So he has a $300,000 debt to a gang. Not only that, he has been ignoring everything and just using the drugs and trying to forget that that's something he did. So when Roman asks, when is the deadline? When do you have to pay back everything? That's when Dante confesses 2 weeks ago. So then you can draw some conclusions and so you can understand that the dad's accident isn't just an accident and there are going to be consequences. Roman thinks this is a money situation. This is a money deal. I deal with huge figures of money every day. If those people want money, if they want a deal, if we can do a payment plan, then I will get it done. Dante keeps telling him, those people are gangsters. Those people are really bad criminals that kill people and cook their body parts and send them to their family members to have for dinner. So it's not a payment plan kind of situation. But Roman goes into the situation with a little too much self-confidence, and it becomes a very disastrous situation where he ends up promising his services to these people, to the criminals, and also they get to use his family's crematorium to disappear bodies, and also the criminals are expecting $50,000 each month until they decide they don't need that kind of money anymore, which is never. So they end up in a worse situation. And we start the story with Roman coming to the realization that his brother put them in a bad situation financially, and also when it comes to safety of himself, his sister, and his father. What I find interesting that they seem to have to accept the fact that the younger brother is messing up all the time, and just after one or two moments of they seem to just accept that it's okay, you messed up. 300,000 worth of debt to a gangster organization. I'm sorry, but that's a huge fuck up. So I don't even understand the acceptance that there is over this kind of behavior. But I really like the writing and the way S.A. Cosby is describing the characters and the way we are following their thoughts and their motivations and how their voice and their presence, and also it's a very vivid and also very much intense writing, if I can describe it in that way. Also, it's very fast-paced. A lot of stuff is happening, and I just intended to read a little bit before bed, but I'm already 31% into the book. So I'm gonna go to bed and I'm gonna try to read more tomorrow.
소녀 백서 그런 그녀 있어 Ooh, you know 소리 없이 다가온 소문처럼 다가온 사람 Yeah 친구의 생일 밤 너를 알게 됐고 Fall in love 수줍었던 그 미소 두 눈에 가득했던 파도 넌 나를 보면
They're doing some work outside, so I hope the sound quality is okay. But I finished King of Ashes. I stayed up way too late last night, and I woke up early this morning. I had a couple of appointments and a couple of chores to do. It's now early afternoon. So King of Ashes. I really love this book because on the surface you can think, oh, this is a crime fiction. This is a story about someone getting entangled with the criminal organizations and things going left. But it's way more complex than that, because the relationship between the siblings is very interesting. The dynamic, the way they communicate, the way they accept things, and the way they resent each other but also are there for each other and love each other is also very fascinating. Also, something else that I don't think I mentioned, the mom. It's a big question mark. Where is the mom? What happened to the mom? Who is to blame? Did the mom leave? Is the mom dead? Did the dad kill her? Those are all theories. The three siblings grew up in a town where everyone thinks that their dad killed their mom and got away with it. So that also links to the reason the younger sibling got that money from the criminals, because they thought, oh, you're the son of that guy that has a crematorium and the mom disappeared, so we can we can work together. So the younger brother banked on his dad's reputation, on his brother's reputation, and that's why they're coming hard down on him, because he has a partner. And you would think that the debt would be 50-50, but it isn't. On one side, I think that part of the story is very interesting, but the part about the mystery about what happened to the mother, also very interesting, kind of ties in. I really loved the middle child, the sister, because she was the forgotten middle child that has to fix everything. I really felt for her, because I feel like it was a very clear middle child syndrome situation. So I really liked her, because she, even though some aspects were misguided and she didn't have all the information, I really liked her spirit, what choices she wanted to make, and she had a lot of agency. There's this references to the devil that I thought were very interesting, that the story goes down a very tragic road, and I think the writing is the strongest part. When it comes to this book, it was very fast. Things were happening, moving on, wrapping things up every couple of chapters. No loose ends. Everything is incorporated and factored in. I'm really happy that I liked King of Ashes, because I have other books by S.A. Cosby, so I think I can pick them up with an easy mind. Also, I already started Sublimation, and I'm really enjoying it. I like the writing, I like the setting, I like the concept, I like how it's sci-fi, but we're focusing on very human, interpersonal, emotional conflicts. So we have Soyoung. Soyoung is a young Korean girl. For whatever reason, her mom decides to immigrate to the US. The grandfather, the mom's dad, is against this decision. He doesn't want his daughter and his granddaughter to be somewhere else, for his grandchild to grow up in a place where he can't be in her life. So the mom decides to insert herself. That's what it's, I think, called in this story, which means she splits herself. And that is like a thing that is done. You can apply for it. And then you split yourself. One version stays in Korea and one version goes to the US. And I thought, is a splitting related to situations or just country borders? And apparently it's specifically country borders. The mom splits herself, and her daughter also gets split. So the mom and a daughter, there's a version of the mom and a daughter that stay in South Korea, and there's a version of the mom and a daughter that go to the US. There are other characters introduced. We start the story when the daughter gets the news. The daughter in the US that goes by the name Rose, she gets the news that her grandfather has passed away. So she is asked by the family to come to the funeral and say goodbye to her grandfather. She, on a whim, for whatever reason, decides to go back to South Korea. And when she does that, she re-enters a world that she hasn't been a part of since she left as a child. She hasn't been communicating. She hasn't been calling. She doesn't know the people that know her as family, and she doesn't know her other self. On the other side, Soyoung, the version that stayed in Korea, she feels like Rose got to go to the US, study, work, live the American life, and she stayed in Korea, living a very traditional, in her eyes, mediocre life. When she finds out that the grandfather wants them to merge, and that he left the house to Rose, and that she identifies within herself that she's a little jealous of the life that Rose had, and she wants a part of that in herself. So she wants them to merge. And merging in this world isn't like a decision that has to be made and a clinical thing. Touching your other self results in merging, whether you intended it or not. I think the structure of the world is very interesting. I think the politics are very interesting. The views on immigration, the feeling of belonging. Where do I belong? Where is my country? Where is my home? I think those themes are very interesting. I also think identity part is also very interesting. Who am I if I had two different lives? I'm 40% into it. And because the big thing that I thought was going to be the conflict of this book already happened at the end of the first third, I'm a little bit confused on where we're going to go with this story. I want a little more thrilling, horrific action, because I feel it's been a little bit suspenseful, but I don't think or understand why this is under sci-fi and then horror when it comes to genres. Because right now, I don't completely understand the horror label. So we shall see. But it's suspenseful and there are like dark themes. There's also another POV. And the other POV is a friend of Soyoung, a guy, friend of Soyoung, also did the whole splitting insert thing. His other self went to the US to study and to work. And the two of them, the two versions of this guy, are working together so that they can make sure that their life is what they want it to be when they merge before they're 30. The way they handle being separated, being inserted, being the possibility of being merged in the future, I think is very interesting, and also a very great contrast to how Soo-young and Rose are dealing with it, because they're treating each other as a complete stranger that they don't know, they don't understand, and they can't communicate with. While this guy and his insert, Yujin, are they both called Yujin? I don't remember. The way they communicate with each other is like twins. It's like they're one person. They're thinking about one future. Their goals are the same. They don't even finish their sentences when they talk to each other. So I think it's very interesting to show the contrast of how things could have gone. I saw the video where Books and Lala talked about this book, and she mentioned that she would have preferred it to be a series of novellas with different people going through this whole situation. I'm only 40% into the book, so I don't right now. I'm okay with how the book is going. I just want a little more tension. I will check in when I'm close to the end to see what I think.
Chasing neon signs, blurring all the lines. Don't you slow me down, don't you slow me down. Chasing neon signs, losing track of time. Don't you slow me down.
So I'm 65% into Sublimation, and I'm very surprised by how the story is progressing, because the way the first part ends, I thought that was going to be the main story, but that's not what is going on. A lot of people that I know that have read this book hate the middle part, but I'm very fascinated with the middle part. I like the interactions. I like the questions that are asked. I like the reflecting, the small changes. And while the focus of the story isn't what I thought it was going to be, because this is definitely not a horror book. This is kind of a sci-fi book with a little bit of intrigue or suspense, but it's not horror so far. Even though the philosophical and psychological impact of what is going on is very terrifying, I don't think it's horror. The implications of the science progressing, the implications of government having their hand in the steering pot, the implications of what is moral, what is ethic, who are the haves and who are the have-nots. I think that part is very interesting to me, even though I understand that to a lot of people, that part is very meandering and not much is happening. I also think it's very interesting, the contrast between Soo-young and Rose and Yujin and YJ. The way they're handling their situations is so different, and I'm very fascinated by the reasons why that is. I'm surprised that I'm really loving this book, even though it wasn't what I thought it was. I really love the connection to each pairing and then their parents and their loved ones and their situations, and how everyone around them is also dealing with the situation. We only see the story from the perspective of the four instances. So Soo-young and Rose and YJ and Yujong. The communication they have with the people in their lives tells us a lot about what kind of relationship it is, what are the hard things in this relationship. I'm gonna go out, and when I get back, I'm gonna try to finish this book, because I really want to know what happens at the end, because a lot of people talk about the ending saving the book for them. And right now, this is a 4-star book for me, so I don't think I need an ending that saves the book, but I do want an ending that is great and fitting. So we shall see.
이상하게도 요즘엔 그냥 쉬운 게 좋아. 하긴 그래도 여전히
I finished Sublimation and things didn't go the way I expected them to, which usually is a good thing. I mean, I'm surprised, the author caught me off guard, but this one was a little bit underwhelming. The last time I updated, I think I was halfway through the book, my cat decided to start eating. So I'm sorry if you hear a little bit of a crunchiness in the background. I liked the middle part, even though it was a little slower than that I expected, because I thought after it happened in the first third, we were gonna go up when it came to tension. The horror aspects were gonna ramp up, and that's not what happened. It became like this sci-fi morality, ethics, internal exploration of identity, which I thought was fine, especially integrating the Korean culture, the effects of immigration, who am I, who's the other version of myself if they didn't have the experiences that I had and I didn't have the experience they had. It's like seeing an alternative universe version of yourself. So I think that part was very interesting to me. Here's where things went south. I don't think the author knew how to finish this book because tonally, it finished like this kumbaya thing. I think she chose to focus on the characters and what would be a good ending for them versus the problems and issues and corporate and government and privacy related issues that this story touched on. Isn't that the focus of the story? Why isn't the privacy implications of a government being able to control when you split, yes or no? Who gets to split? Who gets the access to the technology? What countries? I feel like, to me, the whole morality and we have to do this for the good, for the betterment of everyone. I was with the main characters on that wave until things became a little more selfish. And I just hate when people on one side of their mouth spew out very selfish motivations and on the other side of their mouth, oh, it's for the betterment of everyone. I'm like, I understand that both things can exist at the same time, but it was a little convenient. The way it ends is just not realistic. And the things that interest me were the things that the author just ignored and was like, oh, things solve themselves. And I just hate that kind of ending because I would rather have an ambiguous ending, an open ending. It could have been a dream. I think that would have been more satisfying than what we got. I don't know what I'm going to give this book. I think a 3.5. I just didn't expect it to end in this way. So I knew it was not going to be a 5 stars, but 3.5 feels a little low for a book that I expected was going to be at 5 stars. So that was Sublimation. On to the Decagon murders, the Japanese cult classic mystery. So I bought this book a really long time ago. I think I bought it when I bought the Honjin murders. I think 2023. Honjin murders, I think, has one detective that goes around and solves a lot of different closed room mysteries. But the Decagon house murders, I have no idea what this is. And I read the first 10%. I was so confused because I thought it was going to be a little more set in a historical era or at least 50 years back because those books are old. But it's about a group of university students. They have some kind of club. I think it's some kind of murder mystery solving club. And I think there's 5 of them, 2 girls, 3 guys. And they go to this island, this remote island where there are a lot of stories about things that happened in the past. So far, we've been focusing on the dynamics of the group. Who likes who hates who, the girls' relationship. The dynamics, the way they're perceived by the group, the way they perceive each other. I really like amateur sleuths, and I think if they're members of a club, then at least they know the basics. Could be a little more entertaining, but we shall see. My goal is to finish this before I go to bed, and it's short, so it's doable. It's the next morning, and I'm 80% into the Decagon house murders. I don't know what I said about this book when I started it, but it has a very clear structure. We follow a group of students. They are members of a mystery society of their university. They all have been invited to go to this island, an island where a crime took place. The island is a little more isolated than they expect, and the first 10% that I talked about earlier focuses on the members and their dynamic and just going through the day. But there are a couple of things that I didn't mention and didn't know were important. First of all, the people on the island are not the only people that got letters. A former member of the society also got a letter, but he doesn't go to the island. He goes to someone else he suspects also got a letter. On this island, the crime that took place was that there was a gardener that was suspected of killing the owners of the Blue Manor. What is it called? Blue Mansion. A gardener that worked at the Blue Mansion was one of the houses on this island, and he was suspected that he killed the couple because he wanted money, and he also killed the servants. So 4 people died, and he ran away with whatever gains he got from the owner of the house. So that was the crime that happened on this island. It's a tiny island. I think one family owns everything. But there's another crime that also, or I'm not sure if it's a crime, but another situation that could link everyone to why they were invited. There was a young girl. She was a new member of this mystery society, and I'm not sure if she was hazed or forced or drugged or poisoned, but she ended up dying. The coroner ruled it alcohol poisoning related death. So we have multiple timelines where things are happening. There's the timeline where this girl died. This girl, her parents are the owners of the house where the gardener did this thing. That was 6 months after her death. And then after that, we jump to the timeline to these students being invited to the island and weird things starting to happen. I didn't know that when I picked this book or when I started it even, but apparently this is an homage or an ode to And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. So you can kind of expect or predict what is happening in a timeline with the students on this island. They're dropping like flies and they're trying to connect the dots. Why are we being targeted? Who is this person that invited us? Why does the person that invited us want us dead? So they're trying to solve it while they're dying, while weird things are happening. And what I also think is interesting, the name of the book is the Decagon House Murders. The word Decagon, I just thought it's a Japanese word. But it's not completely a Japanese word because the beginning of the word, the part that says Deca, that refers to the house as in, it's a house that was designed having 10 different parts. So it's like that shape. I love that there are pictures and the floor plans and also drawings and things that explain a little more. The book has 12 chapters and the first 8 chapters are split into chapters on the island and chapters on the mainland. So we go back and forth. So we have 4 chapters on the island, 4 chapters on the mainland, back and forth. And then the last 4 chapters are, I think, where everything merges. So far, I think this book is very interesting, very clever. I like the style. Something about it is very sophisticated and it feels very deliberate. So I think I like that. I think I'm going to finish it within the next 2 hours. And then I'm going to move on to the next book, which is, I think, Her Last Breath by Taylor Adams. So Her Last Breath, as expected from Taylor Adams. I loved the way we start the story and then the way we go through the story, the fast-pacedness, even though I expected the twist, because with Taylor Adams, something else is always happening. It was still a very simple twist, and I really like that the way the story is written and the structure and the tension that is held and the way you hit the ground running. And I finished this book in one go because I wanted to know, even though I kind of suspected, because the writing was so engaging. We start the story with one person that has survived. What has this person survived? We flash back. This person is telling their story to a detective in a hospital room. And then we go back to 2 best friends, Tessa and Ali. They've been really good friends for a really long time. They're going to do some caving. Why anyone does that as a hobby, I would never understand, but they are going to do that. Ali is an expert. She has like this whole lifestyle, social media, blog / I don't know if she has like Instagram or something else, but she has like this brand where she travels and does these extreme sports, and she's really good at a lot of physical things. She's pretty much an extrovert. She likes taking on challenges and trying new things. She likes things to be exciting, to be fun. She's pretty much a contrast to Tess. Tess is pretty much an introvert. She likes quiet things, and she does Ali's admin work. She does a lot of tasks that a manager would do, but she keeps saying that she's an assistant, kind of an assistant. She just helps out for some part-time income because she's pursuing law school. So Tessa and Ali go into this cave, and there's this weird man that makes a weird comment, and Ali tells him off. They're planning to go to some kind of devil stairs, caves that are called Devil's Stairs, I think, or something. And they encounter this man. He makes a little bit of a creepy joke and tries to hit on them, lingering a little more than they want. From that point on, they feel this weird presence following them. And things escalate, and then, I'm not gonna spoil, but things don't go as planned and things escalate. And the book tells us the story between the point of them entering the caves and the person that ended up in a hospital telling the story of what happens. We see the story through the eyes of the person in the hospital bed. I think the description of being in the caves, the darkness, the narrow halls, the lack of oxygen, the tension, the adrenaline, the having to go further into a cave, even though you might not get out. There were a couple of stories that they were talking about caving accidents and people having to be cut into parts to be able, for their bodies to be able to come out. To me, that was horrifying. I just don't understand why people want to do this kind of. I understand skydiving more than that I do cave diving. The way this story is written, you want to flip the pages, you want to know what happens next, and you want to know how the story ends. I even like the detective, the person asking the questions, her position on the team, the way the team saw her, because she's an older woman, and being an older woman in a police office detective unit, apparently you're a dinosaur if you want to investigate the old way. I thought that critique was also very fun. I finished The Decagon House Murders by Yukito Ayatsuji, and I really loved it. I think I'm gonna order other books by this author. I don't understand why it took me so long to pick up this book, because it's exactly what I like from a murder mystery. I like the structure, I like the red herrings, I like the reveals, and it was unique. Even though the motivation is ancient of this crime or series of crime, I'm definitely ordering the other books in this series, but I think I'm going to spread out when I read them, because I feel it can maybe get a little bit repetitive if I read them back to back. And for the last prompt, I'm reading Futility by Nuzo Onoh, and I already started. I'm like, I think 14 or 15% into it. And so far, I am enjoying it, and I'm really liking author's voice. It's a little funny, but also very gruesome, because this story is about a woman. She has a restaurant in Lagos in Nigeria. She has very dedicated visitors to her restaurant that love her spicy soup. Well, on the surface, it looks like, oh, she has a restaurant, she's a good cook, so people love to come to her restaurant. Something more sinister is actually going on, because the people that come to her restaurant are only men, and the way they view her is as this very attractive woman, and she is giving them this soup that is very questionable. Where does the meat come from? There's a little bit of a witchcraft, deal making, and witchery, and things that are happening behind the scenes that are unsavory. And I think when you look at the cover, you can exactly know what I'm hinting at. And there's this woman, there's her narrative, there's her POV, but there's also a POV of another woman, a woman that is struggling, that has also a thing that she really wants. I'm at the part where the two women cross paths. Right now, I don't know how extreme things are going to get. I don't know how intense and how gruesome it can go, but I see potential. So I think I'm really going to like this book. So I went out and got an ice cream. But the reason I'm sitting here is because I wanted to talk to you about Futility. I think it's going to be the only 5 stars of this vlog. The story starts with this woman, is a Nigerian woman, has a restaurant, and she's up to no good, dealing with the entities and doing the devil's work to achieve the things that she wants to achieve. So that part of the story is kind of what I expected the story to be. But then there is this other woman, a white British woman that has been living in Lagos and enjoying the privileges of being white and being rich. She used to be a police officer in the UK, and she has done harm there. Her paths and the main characters were, well, both of them are main characters, but their paths cross, and what happens after is not what I expected. I think the middle part of the story is really surprising, because I really thought it was just going to be a little bit of murder, a little bit of cannibalism, especially in a restaurant situation. I think that was what I thought the focus was going to be. I think Claire's perspective was also very interesting, because she was so bigoted and so biased and so disgusting. And the way she reacted every time was so funny on one side, but also very terrifying, because she expected things to go the way she wanted them to, just because she's white and rich. The Nigerian restaurant owner, I think it was so hard to see things from her point of view, because on the one side, the way she's been treated by her partners, the way she's been treated by her family, the way her life has not gone the way she wanted to, but then the amount of pain and suffering that she's willing to deal out just to make sure she gets the things that she wants. I don't think I can root for her. I think she's bad, and also as worse as the other characters. As well, she just lost her sense of morality and ethics. I really loved the way this author presented these two characters. The dialogue was really fun, the banter, the arguments, the way they cussed each other out. At some point, we move from Lagos to London, and that part was also very fun. I think the social critique was my favorite part. The way these women saw themselves and the way they moved in the different societies and the different identities, and also because the restaurant owner, she can glamour people to view her a certain way, especially men. But the ending of this book was cuckoo bananas. I have no idea how this author even thought to end this book this way. It just becomes this extreme, chaotic. I can't even say heartwarming, but it's some parts of it tugged at my heartstrings. And I think it's so interesting when a book can be so outrageous and so extreme, but also fun. Also, the entity in this book was really terrifying. I think entities that are ominous and hiding and stuff are scary, but I think entities that are intermingled in your life and just doing whatever they want and just showing up, I feel like that's a little more scary if it's like it could be anyone. Yeah, love this book. So this is every book I read for SummerWeen. I had a lot of fun. Each book I read was completely different, had a different vibe, different tempo, and I feel like I really picked books that I had the highest chance of liking. Her Last Breath was exactly what I expected. Fast, thrilling, entertaining. It was exactly what I needed, and I was really happy to read it. And I think Taylor Adams is an author that I'm going to keep reading from. The Decagon House Murders was so interesting and so clever, and I feel like I want to reread it just to see if there are clues that I missed. And I think I really love the kind of book that makes me feel like I can figure it out. And I think I need to buy a few more murder mysteries. I need to buy a few more Japanese murder mysteries. I bought the Inugami Curse by Seishi Yokomizo, and I read the Honjin Murders by this author. I think classic Japanese murder mysteries are gonna be something that I'm gonna try to read a little more from because I have enjoyed everyone that I've picked up so far. Futility by Nuzo. I think this book was the biggest surprise of this vlog for me because it's a book I rated 5 stars, even though I expected that I would like it. And I feel like my ability to hone in on books that I think I might like have been getting a little better. My average rating for the year so far is a 4.3, and I feel that like that's a really good rating. But Futility, I love the culture, I love the banter, the dialogues, I love the humor, I loved how disgusting it got, how the lack of morals and ethics. On the other side, it was still human, and I feel like there was a lot of showing how humans can feel and how if you let yourself be led by jealousy and desire and just hate, and you can only end up in hell. And I really love this book. This book both shocked me, disgusted me, but I was entertained and hooked until the last page. I started the vlog with King of Ashes. That was the first book that I picked up, and I really love this book. I'm definitely reading more by S.A. Cosby. I love the relationship between the siblings, the way that they protected each other, they cared for each other, they loved each other. But on the other hand, it's like they couldn't help each other from doing the things that are bad to themselves. It was a very toxic dynamic, but I liked the dramatic way that it ended. I feel like that was in tune with how the book was written. And then there's Sublimation. I feel like I'm a little bit disappointed by this book. It's still a 3.5 star. I think I might rate it 4 stars on Goodreads. The reason that I'm disappointed is because I love the writing, love the ideas, love the setup. I'm just sad by how the ending went because that's exactly the kind of ending that doesn't work for me. If anyone knows anything about what I read, I like pessimistic, sad, ambiguous endings. I love frustrating endings, but they walked happily into the sunset, and they lived happily ever after. Those kind of endings only work for me if it's a romance. With the questions that the book raised and the stakes and the high societal impact of the technology that was discussed, I just don't understand how that's how the book ends. So I think that was a little bit frustrating for me, but I still enjoyed the first 2/3. It's expected that not every book is going to go the way I want it to. I think even though SummerWeen is over, next weekend is July Noir. So I might try to pick something up to read for July Noir. July Noir is a readathon hosted by Brie from Locked Booktition. She announced like really last minute. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to film anything for that, but I want to at least join and read a book. I'm probably going to read The Good House. My next video that is going to go up, it's already done, is my Changeling video. I'm not sure what I'm going to do after that. If you have a suggestion, let me know in the comments. Did you participate in SummerWeen? What did you read? Did you read anything spooky? Anything horrific? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching and bye.